and welcome to this 20-minute Pilates class for beginners level. We'll take it nice and easy, nice and gently. We'll give a few adaptations, progressions as we go through, but stay with the level that works best for you. So 20 minutes, beginners level, coming down onto the mat, getting ready. We're going to mobilize first. So we're going to think about some gentle rotation through lower mid-back. Arms wide, in line with the shoulders. Legs together, ankles, knees, thighs touching. Inhale, knees go one way. Exhale, knees come back to center. Inhale, knees over to the other side. Turn the head in the opposite direction. Exhale, knees come back to center. So think about keeping the belly button pulled in. Don't just let the knees flop towards the floor. Keep that control, keep that stability throughout the rotation. Stay here with the feet on the mat. If you're comfortable with both feet off the floor, when the knees are back to center, inhale, lift one foot, exhale, lift the second foot. And then inhale, knees one way, exhale, knees over to the other side. Inhale, knees come back to center. Knees one way. So inhale as you rotate. Exhale, belly buttons pulled in, knees back to center. Inhale, exhale. Two more to each side. Shoulders relaxed, arms relaxed. Keeping the opposite shoulder blade in contact with the mat. Good. Complete your last one. Knees back to center. Hug them into the chest. And then we're going to think about coming over onto all fours. Going to take it into cat stretches. So hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath hips. From the tailbone. Exhaling. Moving one vertebra at a time before the next. Lengthen through the back of the neck, crown and the head points down towards the mat. Inhale here. Exhale, chin stays tucked in. Tailbone, pelvis, lower back, mid back, upper back, neck, head. Gently, slowly allow the spine to mobilize, the spine to warm up. Hopefully each time we're rounding, getting a bit more movement, mobility, flexibility. Belly buttons in, ribs to hips, sequentially move up and down the spine. Two more. Last one. Fantastic. And then we're going to think about coming to a seated position. Kind of feet flat on the floor, knees bent. Going to think about some gentle half rollbacks. So you can either have the hands gently on the back of the thighs, shoulders relaxed. You can have the hands gently on the shins, allowing you to help with that balance stability. Or we can have arms parallel with the floor. Tailbone tucks under, belly buttons in. On the exhalation, roll half the way back. Inhale here. Exhale, come back up, sit nice and tall. So try not to let the head come forwards of the shoulders, length through the back of the neck, try not to jam the chin to the chest. You can either come back sitting tall, if you wish you can go over the thighs, keep that roundness as you roll half the way back, so you're keeping the same shape, forwards, same shape backwards, and you can stay here, rolling half the way back, or we can roll all the way back down. So you can either stay with the feet flat on the floor, knees bent. You can roll back with the legs long. Arms go back over the head. Try not to let the rib cage lift. Keep those abdominal muscles connected. And then inhale, float the fingertips up. Exhale, chin tucks in. Egg underneath the chin, you don't want to crack. Belly button pulls in. Roll yourselves off the mat. forwards over the thighs. A bit tight through the hamstrings, lower back. Bend the knees as you go forwards. And then you can straighten the legs as you roll back down. You can play with the position of the arms as well. So you can either keep them parallel with the floor, the arms out front. Think about arms in line with the ears. Think about fingertips on the forehead, elbows in the corners of the eyes. So try not to let the elbows come forwards, try not to let the head come forwards, belly buttons in, rib cage down, half the way back. Now, if it's going to be a challenge to roll up with the elbows here, the arms in line with the ears, bring the arms parallel with the floor again, making sure we're keeping the feet on the floor, whether they're flat, knees bent or legs long. And then rounding. Bend the knees again if it's a bit tight through the hips. Fingertips can be here, arms can be here, shoulders relaxed. Slowly back down onto the mat. 2 more. Last one. And this one, we're going to roll back slowly and with as much control as possible. So arms parallel with the floor, fingertips on the forehead, elbows in the corners of the eyes, arms in line with the ears. Slowly. Roll all the way back down onto the mat. Make sure we haven't disconnected the abdominal muscles. And then we think about rolling on to one side. We're going to have bottom arm long, head resting on the arm. Legs are long. So think about lining the body up with the front edge of your mat. Stacking the hips, so you want a vertical line in between the hips. You want an arch on the underside of the body. Fingertips can rest lightly in front of the rib cage. Get that shoulder back, try not to collapse forwards. Want to challenge the balance, stability, top arm can be on the top thigh. Inhale, point the toe, lift the top leg. Keeping that distance between the rib and the hip on the top side. Exhale, lower. Inhale, point and lift. Exhale, lower. Try and keep the toes pointing straight forward. Try not to let them turn up towards the ceiling too much. Two more on this side. And the next time the top leg's in line with the top hip. Keep the hip bone pointing straight forwards. Going to draw a circle with that top leg. So inhale for the first half of the circle. Exhale for the second. Try and get that leg to go behind the body as much as it comes forward. So you're drawing a circle with the tip of the toe on the furthest wall. Again, if you sit, start to rock around through the upper body. Balance is challenged too much. Fingertips, that top hand on the top thigh. When you've done 10 in one direction, change the direction of the circle. Inhale, leg comes forwards. Exhale, leg goes behind the body, keeping the hips stacked, keeping that stability through the center. Drawing that circle on the wall with the tip of the toe. 5 more on this top leg. 4, 3, 2, 1. Fantastic. Let that top leg back down. Going to switch ourselves around to the other side. So remember that alignment through the upper body. Legs long, arm long. Arch, stabilize through the center. Top arm on the top thigh. Fingertips can rest lightly on the front of the rib cage. Inhale, point the toe, lift the top leg. Exhale, flex the foot. Lower that top leg back down. Keep an eye down the body, down the leg. Try not to go forwards, try not to go back. Straight up. straight back down. 2 more. Last one. And I'm going to take it into that circular movement. Hips point straight forwards, float the top leg to hip height. Inhale, bring the leg forwards for the first half of the circle. Exhale for the second. If you yourselves roll around on the mat, bring the fingertips lightly on the mat in front of the rib cage. Circle that leg. 4 more on this side. Last 2. Last 1. Then we're changing direction. Inhale, leg goes behind the body. Lift. Bring it round the front. Slow and control. Tailbone points long. Hips point straight forwards. Keeping that stability through the center. 4 more. 3. 2. Last 1. Fantastic. And then we're going to push ourselves up on to all fours. And then we're going to think about taking it into some swimming. So hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. As we move the arm and the opposite leg, try not to let the head drop down towards the mat. So we don't want to sink in between the shoulder blades. When the arm goes long, try not to let the shoulder drop. Going to think about hips squared, keep the same natural curve through the lower back. So on the next exhalation, slide, fingertips, tips of the toes away in opposite directions. If you can keep that stability, keep that balance, you can lift the hand, foot, inhale, bring arm and leg back down off the mat, exhale, other arm, opposite leg. That leg wants to go high, make sure it's not taking the pelvis and the lower back with it. Use those abdominal muscles to maintain that stability. Neck long and smooth. Eye line looks down to the mat. Keep the movement of the pelvis as minimal as possible as you transfer from hand, knee to knee. 2 more each side. Arms moving at the shoulder, legs moving at the hip. Keeping that stability through the center. Last 1. Fantastic. And then taking the weight off the wrist, pushing back into a shell stretch. This isn't comfortable through the knees, tight through the lower back. Feel free to bring yourselves to a seated position. Feet flat on the floor, knees bent. And then we're going to round over the thighs, shoulders relaxed, arms relaxed. Trying to create that roundness through the spine, that flexion. So ribs to hips. Think about relaxing the body. Take a few breaths here into the sides and the back of the rib cage. And then when you're ready, you're going to restack. Sit nice and tall. And we've done the half rollbacks. We're going to think about adding some rotation into those half rollbacks with our obliques. So, trying to keep the knees level, keeping the hip bones pointing straight forwards. Arms parallel with the floor. Exhale, belly button pulls in. We're rolling half the way back. As we do so, hands coming down towards the mat. Bringing rib to opposite hip. Fingertips float back up in line with the shoulder. Eye line looks at the fingertips. Inhale, come back, sit taller, taller, taller. Exhale, round to the other side. Inhale, come back. So belly button's in, roundness through the spine. Sit taller, 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 taller. Keeping the knees as level as possible, hip bones pointing straight forward as much as possible. 2 more each side. Last one each side, rib to opposite hip with that rotation. Fantastic. And then when you next back, you can either keep the knees bent or you can straighten the legs long, and we'll take into that variation on the shell stretch, going forwards over the thighs, rounding, 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 rounding. Take a few breaths here. And then we're going to focus on some lateral flexion, taking it into a side bend. So it's shifting ourselves to a position where we have knee of the bottom leg pointing straight forwards, knee of the top leg pointing up towards the ceiling. That top foot is just in front of the bottom foot, and that line, those heels are in line with the tailbone, in line with that hand. Make sure you're not sinking down into that arm. You want to lift up through the underside of the body. Top arms on the top knee, keeping the bottom knee in contact with the mat. You can inhale, float the fingertips up. Exhale, lift the hips. Keep that top knee open towards the ceiling. Reach the arm up and over. Inhale here, exhale. Slowly, 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 lower back down. So we've still got the shoulder and knee apart, pushing into the mat with the feet. Exhale, big stretch on the top side of the body. Inhale here, exhale, lower back down, and again. Two more on this side. Bottom knee on the mat. Hips open, keep that top knee up towards the ceiling. Arm all the way over. Last one before we switch round to the other side. Exhale, float back down. Okay, switch it round. Setting ourselves up. So we want knee of the bottom leg pointing straight forwards. Knee of the top leg up towards seeing that foot of that top leg in front of the bottom leg. The further away the feet are from the body, the easier it is to get the hips off the mat and make that shape through the spine. That hand on the mat, shoulder away from the ear. Keeping the bottom knee on the mat, we've got that line, heels, pelvis, hand. Top arm on the top thigh. Inhale, float the fingertips up. Exhale, take the fingertips up and over. Try and keep the hips open, top knee up towards the ceiling. Inhale here. Exhale, slowly back down. Make sure you haven't sunk into that shoulder. Four more on this side. Use that foot for the base. Hips higher, higher, higher. Last three. Make sure you're not sinking into that bottom arm. We have one more. Good, fantastic. And releasing back down. Let's finish off with a bit of spine twist. So we can have legs straight, legs together, or we can have the legs crossed, we can have knees bent, feet on the mat, whichever works for you. But make sure you've got that length through the spine. Can either have arms across the chest, make sure you keep the chin in line with the middle of the chest, or arms out to the side, shoulders away from the ears. Keep lengthening, lengthening, lengthening. Inhale here, exhale, take it round to one side. Sit taller, taller, taller. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, round to the other side. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, rotate. And keep the feet level. Keep the knees level. That way we know we're keeping the hips pointing straight forwards. One more each side. Fantastic. And then relaxing the arms. Keeping that length through the spine, sitting nice and tall. And that was a 20-minute beginners Pilates workout. If you've liked what you've experienced, please subscribe. Please hit the like button, hit the bell notification. Thank you very much. See you next time.